A woman shot in broad daylight.
An East Bay rapper over the weekend, and her friends say she was shot while attending an event at a beauty shop in Oakland.
Long as a bitch got legs, I stand on everything I said. I be smoking on my ex, that relationship is... I don't never feel the shade, but I see just got a shade.
On the afternoon of July 13th, 2024, the stretch of Telegraph Avenue in Oakland's Temescal district was alive with music, families, and celebration. The occasion was the grand opening of Glamour Beauty Supply, a black-owned shop that DaGod had been proudly promoting. The 27-year-old rapper had agreed to perform and host a meet and greet for fans, part of her ongoing effort to lift up local businesses and stay connected to the community she loved.
It was supposed to be a celebration. Glamour Beauty Supply on Telegraph in Oakland was hosting a grand opening on Saturday. The historic beauty shop closed back in May but was under new ownership. Friends identified the woman killed as Aliana Green, known as Oakland rapper DaGod. The new owner of the shop, who declined an interview, says he invited the well-known Oakland rapper to the event because she was a supporter of black-owned businesses.
For a time, the scene was everything it was meant to be. Children darted around with refreshments in hand. Supporters filled the parking lot, and Tan laughed with attendees inside the shop. Cell phones captured her presence. This was a moment of triumph for an artist on the cusp of something big. But just after 5 p.m., that celebration was shattered. Witnesses reported hearing a sudden burst of gunfire near the shop's entrance. People screamed and ran for cover, diving behind cars and scattering into nearby businesses.
She was performing there, and this guy with the hoodie just walks in through that gate and just started shooting.
I hear some shots, right? So the shots I thought was just part of like the music, the performance, and then I heard like 3 really loud shots.
Vincent, who works the donut shop next door, says people came into his shop for cover from the gunfire.
When the shouting stopped, DaGod was on the ground, gravely wounded. One eyewitness told reporters it appeared she was the only target, saying the gunman focused solely on her. Another recalled hearing her cry out, "I'm hit, I'm hit." A second person at the scene was also struck by bullets but survived. Paramedics rushed Tan to a nearby hospital, but she could not be saved. At just 27 years old, her life was cut short in broad daylight at an event that was meant to celebrate community. What had begun as a day of music and pride ended with Oakland losing one of its rising voices, and a crowd of witnesses left shaken by the crime they had just seen.
He was targeting her only. I saw it, like he wasn't like shooting at like everybody. He was just shooting at her.
I think the rapper was like screaming, "I'm hit, I'm hit." She was just laying on the ground until the medics came.
Police say a second person was also shot but survived.
Within hours, tributes and grief posts began to stack up across Bay Area timelines. Veteran Oakland artist Mr. Fab remembered Tan as a hustling-ass go-getter with a world of ambition, drive, and courage, and a heart big as Texas. On July 31st, 2024, her family and friends gathered in Richmond, California to lay Aliana DaGod Green to rest. The service was held at Rolling Hills Memorial Park, where mourners shared memories and said goodbye to a 27-year-old whose life had accelerated from local buzz to national headlines in a matter of months. Aliana Green, better known as DaGod, was more than a provocative persona. She was a young artist trying to carve her place in Oakland's rap scene. According to her family, when she wasn't creating music, she was Aliana, a daughter, sister, aunt, and community supporter. The persona of DaGod was part artistry, part narrative experiment. In the days after DaGod's passing, her family found themselves in mourning and on the defense. The 27-year-old had barely been laid to rest when the internet began spinning conspiracies about her. Blogs, YouTube channels, and social media users repeated the story that she had hit an ex-boyfriend and that her hit was some kind of retaliation.
She did a thing where she was basically talking about smoking on her ex, and she did interviews talking about she's fighting a case or beat a case in which she her ex in self-defense. Then she got
Her loved ones quickly pushed back. Her sister claimed that she was inundated with misinformation. All the things I'm seeing on the blogs are so disrespectful, she said. She also acknowledged the load of negativity that followed the love. It's been a lot seeing all the love, but also all the negativity, backlash, trolling, and jokes. Nyla also pushed back against the narrative that DaGod's passing was revenge for her ex storyline. It was street politics that she got caught up in and wasn't the intended target, she said, adding that existing public narratives fueled false connections. Her niece, Colby Edwards, also chimed in, reflecting on how easily the public absorbs sensational stories. She said people don't know you or the person you're mourning. In the same piece, Colby called on fans and media to challenge the harmful narratives when they hear things being spewed about her. I'd like for people to challenge that and speak on her legacy. The core message for Tan's family was consistent and firm. Tan's artistic persona and provocation did not translate into real relationships, and that her passing should not be conflated with the fictitious gunplay she rapped about. Her local support base was modest but meaningful. Friends told KTVU that she had over 20,000 Instagram followers and was well known in the East Bay rap scene.
Well, the victim is known as DaGod, a rapper with more than 20,000 followers on Instagram and a bright future ahead of her. According to the people who knew her, they say the young entrepreneur and music artist was passionate about her music and they never saw this coming.
But after the news of DaGod's passing broke, the internet latched on to the most sensational explanations that she had been hit in retaliation for her ex-Woodpack project, the viral mixtape where she claimed to have hit her ex-boyfriend and was smoking on his pack. The story had roots in her own words.
You gotta take about it. It just is what it is. Like if somebody make an attempt on your life or even make any weird ass type of threatening weirdo, like you make like even the type of weird ass little comments that people be like, nigga, I smoke your stupid ass. What you mean you would smoke me? Like nigga, why is you playing like that, nigga? I be playing with my niggas like I beat your ass.
In interviews, Tan played into the persona. On podcasts, she said she didn't feel like she had a choice except to kill her ex because he was threatening her family.
Get to the point where like you had no choice?
Yeah, it's like you ain't got no choice. Like sometimes you really don't have a choice. Like I know females that never had a choice and they was just popping up and threatening the whole family and you know where people live. And I think about it, I'm like, you know where my loved ones live? You gotta go.
In another clip, she laughed about bringing a mock tombstone to an interview. She even told hosts she had a court date in September 2023, teasing that fans would see how it played out.
How were you not afraid of like police or did they like side with you on it? Or, like how did you evade like any type of like consequence basically?
We gonna find that out on September 23rd.
The music itself doubled down on the imagery.
No fucking way she turned the nigga's head into...
The short film for ex-Woodpack showed her gearing up for a violent mission, rapping beside a hospital bed where a man lay masked as a clown, then standing over a coffin at a funeral scene. In one track, she bragged, "I've been smoking on my ex and it's exotic." In another, she played out a mocking sentence with the judge declaring she was going to prison for smoking on your ex and having these men too turned up. Even the final song, "I Need Therapy," carried the theme, Tan acting as both patient and counselor, admitting she only felt alive when she had a gun in her hand. By the time of her passing in July 2024, many fans and bloggers had blurred the lines between fiction and fact. Some insisted she really had hit an offensive partner and gotten away with it. Others speculated she was in witness protection or that her ex's family had finally taken revenge. The narrative spread so quick that even after her funeral, people repeated it as the real reason she was hit. To outsiders, it seemed obvious she had mocked a deceased man, bragging about his passing, and now his people had come back for revenge. But the facts tell a different story. Oakland police investigated her claims after her passing and confirmed there was no record of Tan ever being a homicide suspect. Detective Roland Aguilar testified in court that the story was fabricated. Her family backed that up, telling Essence that the project was nothing more than a conceptual rollout, a publicity stunt to gain traction in a crowded industry. Within days days of her passing, police had a suspect in custody. Police announced the arrest of Dominic Gates, 30, an Oakland rapper who performs at BNC for Nero in connection with the hit. Prosecutors said he faced a homicide charge tied to the daylight ambush. Coverage also noted prior felony conviction on his record. A few weeks later came a second name. On August 15th, 2024, OPD arrested Richard James Romano, 32, and the DA charged him with homicide in the same case. As investigators worked, the case grew more complex. Surveillance pulled from nearby shops and witness statements pointed to multiple armed men at the grand opening, men who had been seen mingling earlier before the chaos. 2 additional gunmen seen in the footage remain unidentified. However, the legal case against Gates and Romano has gotten complicated. In early 2025, at a preliminary hearing reviewing the evidence, an Oakland detective testified to a crucial detail. Tan DaGod fired her weapon first during the confrontation. When the case reached a preliminary hearing months later, an Oakland homicide detective testified that the footage captured a tense confrontation and at least 5 people firing guns that day, including Tan. An argument or scuffle broke out. One man allegedly shoved Tan's boyfriend, and another drew a gun and pointed it at him. Seeing her loved one in danger, Tan DaGod instinctively reached into her purse for her own firearm. According to police testimony, she pulled out a pistol and fired at least 2 shots at the men. Almost simultaneously, multiple gunmen opened fire on her. The revelation introduced a potential self-defense element. Under California law, if Gates and others could convincingly argue that they were fired upon first, it could undermine the homicide charge, since they could claim they shot back in self-defense or defense of others. The judge who heard the evidence noted that the video can be interpreted in different ways, and if a jury sees multiple reasonable interpretations of which is innocence, they must acquit. Prosecutors maintain that Gates and his crew were the aggressors, pointing out that they brandished weapons and threatened Tan's boyfriend, prompting her to act. She sees a firearm as she sees her boyfriend in danger. If she had waited until the defendant started shooting, it would have been too late for her boyfriend. Instead, Tan DaGod's final act seems to have been a courageous, if ultimately tragic, effort to protect someone she loved.
But she was on some like thoughtful rap type shit, you know what I mean? It didn't actually have to do with a real person. Everybody pretty much came out was like, you know, this girl. You got what you wanted, you were dissing the dead, now you're dead, haha. And then details came out that people came and confronted her boyfriend in front of her. When things became physical, she pulled out her gun and shot, and they shot back, and she ended up getting killed.
Defense attorneys, on the other hand, painted a different picture. They claimed Tan DaGod, who had built her image on being an assailant, seized an opportunity that day to live out her lyric. In their view, she instigated the shootout to prove she was a gangster, as she claimed, by pulling a gun on Gates over a petty argument. One lawyer argued that Tan needed to present herself as a criminal, bragging about being an assailant when it turns out she didn't actually do that crime. But that's exactly why she went and did this. As of 2025, the homicide case remained in flux. Both suspects pleaded not guilty and were being held without bail. But in March, the case took a dramatic turn. What once stood as a homicide prosecution has reportedly been scaled back by agreement. According to Bay Area hip-hop news outlet, both accused men have pleaded no contest to felony gun charges, not homicide. Their sentences are said to be fully executed by the end of 2025, factoring in credits for time already served. Rest in peace, Tan DaGod.